in the name of Deputy Fiona O'Loughlin, who wishes to discuss the Border Directive uptake and related advertising to the HSE. Deputy O'Loughlin.
Gurv Magath, and can I say, Minister Byrne, you're very welcome, and I appreciate your courtesy in being here as always, and to note that time and time again you are the person who has to come in here and take all the health issues. I appreciate you are Minister for State within the department, but it should be the senior minister who has taken these issues, and I think it's very regrettable that he's not. Having said that, I want to get down to the issue in hand, which really refers to the 511,904 people who are on outpatient waiting list at this point in time. This is the highest record ever, and it is a national disgrace. And of that number, over 79,000, in fact 79,647 of these people have been on the waiting list over 18 months, despite the then Minister for Health, Leo Varadkar, 3 years ago basically saying that, that nobody would be waiting over 18 months at this point in time. So yet again we see another all-time high in this. Now, just to turn to the Cross-Border Directive and its uptake. And the background to this, as you know, is that this was introduced by the European Parliament to better define the rights of EU citizens when seeking treatment in EU states other than their own. And it means that Irish residents have the right to medical treatment in any other EEA country, to be treated on the same basis as they would be here. And provided certain criteria is met, that EEA residents are entitled to request the treatment and then receive the reimbursement of the cost. Now, like any TD that is in this stall, we all have constituents coming to us on a daily and on a weekly basis who are basically really enduring very difficult situations that are really impacting on their quality of life. And since I became aware of this myself, I've been advising patients on long waiting lists in my own constituency of Kildare about using this directive to access care on an ongoing basis. And the most frequent categories that I have been dealing with have been around cataracts, tonsils and joint replacements. And in fact, one gentleman came back in during the week. He'd been waiting for a hip operation for over 3 years, wasn't able to work because of it, and came back in to thank us for putting him in that direction, and said he received 5-star treatment abroad while he was having this, and it absolutely changed his life. Now, to me it seems ridiculous the HSE can't perform the operations here, but they can pay for it to be done in a different country abroad. But, you know, when we look at the waiting list and when we look at the record highs that they have hit, should we not be encouraging more people to travel for the service that cannot be given from our health system? And it would seem that it's not advertised well enough. OK, it is advertised on the internet, but I would feel that every primary care centre, every GP should have that information, because there are a lot of older people in our society who could avail of these, but maybe they're not internet savvy and they're not aware of it. Anybody whose attention I have brought this to was not aware of it before. And while we have the waiting list almost scandal that we have, I think it's really important that we send people in the right direction and help them improve the qualities of their own lives. So that's my first question to you, Minister, in relation to it.
Again, my apologies that the Minister couldn't be here. However, I know he did take topical issues himself on cervical cancer and other things during the week there, but I do apologise. I don't know where he is, but anyway, we are where we are, so I'll just take this for now, and maybe you might contact his office just to relay your concerns about him not taking the issue. Can I just say, on a personal basis, before I begin, I actually done exactly what you were talking about a few minutes ago, myself through GPs in my own area, primary care area, asking them to make sure that people got the information around people being able to travel abroad, and the majority of them has said to me that they had done that anyway. I would like to thank the Deputy for raising this issue, and I'm taking on behalf of Minister Harris. To begin with, it is important to say that the vast majority of EU patients receive health care in their own country and prefer to do so. This is why so many This is for many reasons, such as language differences, culture, family support, distance of travel to other countries, and importantly, familiarity with the medical culture of their home state. However, the Irish patients seek access to health services in other EU, EEA countries. The Cross-Border Directive, introduced in 2014, has proven to be an important scheme. The Department of Health, the Health Service Executive operates the directive in Ireland, and through the National Contact Point Office provides information for patients on a cross-border directive on their website, by phone, by email and by post. The number availing of the directives continues to increase since its introduction. The latest information from the HSE that there were 1,422 applicants processed under the directive so far this year, and that in 2017, 2016 and 2015 the numbers were 2,011. And respectively 793 and 164. I think it's to do with the dates. Patients are primarily available of orthopaedic, I hope I can say this word, ophthalmology and orthodontic services under the scheme, with the majority of the treatment being carried out in Northern Ireland and other parts of the UK. Noting that the directive states that the implementation should not result in patients being encouraged to receive treatment outside their member states, and recognising that any decisions to avail of treatment at home or abroad is a matter for the patient, in consultation with their health professional, the HSE has sought to educate health professionals about the directive. In particular, the HSE has met with GP organisations such as the ICGP and GP Practice, and they recognise that GPs are in the front line with regard to providing information and referral to patients on the treatment options both home and abroad. In fact, the directive, it is the only consultation, but also isn't the only consultation GPs who can refer their patients for overseas treatments. In addition, the HSE has met the communication with other professional bodies and organisations, the Independent Hospital Association and various voluntary hospitals and hospital groups to inform them how patients can access healthcare under the term of the directive. The HSE has also held various public meetings on the directive and continue to meet, and will be available to meet a range of groups regarding the directive. To summarise, the number of availing of the directive continues to rise, with points to an increased awareness of the directive by both healthcare and professionals and the wider general public. In recognising that decision to seek treatment overseas is one of the patients, in conjunction with their health professionals and the HSE, plan to continue to engage with healthcare professionals and other professional bodies to provide them with information on the operation of the directive. Thanks.
And can I say that I completely agree. It is important that the vast majority of EU patients want to receive health care in their own country and prefer to do so for the reasons that you have said. And therefore, it is an absolutely shocking indictment of our own system here in Ireland when we see that 1,422 applications were processed under the directive so far in 2018, and we're only at the 21st of June at this point. So that just shows us how dire the situation is here. And the cost to date in 2018 has been 2.79 million. And in fact, the cost so far since the directive came into force in October 2014 is €9.247 million. So that's almost €10 that has been spent by the HSE in terms of reimbursing 4,615 procedures. Now, you know, the question that I have to put to you, could this money not be better spent on improving our own system that's here? It would be far better investing in our own system to ensure that these people who genuinely need to have these procedures done and have to go elsewhere and the country still ends up paying for it. It would be far better to improve our own system. But can I say, just going back to doctors that are referring the service, I have obviously come across doctors who certainly are aware of the service, but it would seem from what I hear that once they refer a patient to hospitals, then they've no more contact with the patient at that point. And it seems from talking to people in my own constituency that there is not enough communication between the consultants and the patients, with both informing them of the service or of continuing the communication afterwards. So, I think we're in maybe a catch-22 situation, that the government either must commit to providing the healthcare service that is required here in this country, or alternatively, while we're waiting to get to that stage, to actively promote the cross-border directive. Thank you, Minister.
I have no argument with what the Deputy is saying. I suppose one of the things is what we all want is what's best for the patient, and we all want that. And I suppose in light of your concerns in which you've raised, and the fact that when people are informed by their GP and other professionals, and they do go to the consultant in the hospital, maybe somewhere along the way the message gets lost that there is another way forward. I don't have a specific answer around as to why the consultants and the surgeons aren't able to cope with the numbers that are needing different operations and different assessments as well. I don't have anything further to add, but I will relay your concerns to the Minister, and hopefully that over the next week or so he may be able to give you some insight into exactly why so many people have decided to go abroad because of the lack of, I would say, maybe theatre space or surgeons to perform the operations here in our own country. But I will ask the Minister directly to reply back to you.
Mr. Byrne. We proceed now to the final item.